I want to congratulate everyone that participated and organized the right for our rights, our freedom of rights to choose the food we want to eat. And that's very important. There's more to just GMOs. It's the whole issue of the patents on life, which is very important to all of us, our future generations. Just briefly, the whole issue started with us back in 1998 when Monsanto laid what they call a patent infringement lawsuit, where they said we had used their GMO, in this case canola, without a license from them. And that was a real surprise to us because we were using our seed from a year because we were seed developers, especially my wife, in the issue of canola. Now, I won't go in too much into the case, but eventually it went to the Supreme Court of Canada, and the ruling that was made by the Supreme Court of Canada said it does not matter how any farmer, organic farmer or conventional farmer, is contaminated. If you are contaminated under patent law, you no longer own your seeds or plants, and they become the ownership, in this case, of Monsanto. And that decision is what made the case go worldwide, and people realized how serious the issue of patents on GMOs were. Now, what has happened, in the West, I come from the Western Canada, north of Montana, and basically both of us, in both our countries, are affected the same way. When the companies like Monsanto told us back in 1996 that with GMOs you'd have increased yields, less chemicals, more nutritious, and so on, and then they used the buzzwords, with GMOs we'd be able to feed a hungry and starving world, and also we'd always have sustainable agriculture. And believe me, after the first year, things started to go the opposite way, and with the yields down. But I think one of the most important things that you have to remember with GMOs is that massive increased use of chemicals, which you really don't ever hear about. So you not only have the GMO food, but in your food now, you also have the genes that make that plant or that food resistance to Monsanto's chemical Roundup. But now you have a massive increase of insecticides, pesticides, herbicide in your food through the residue. So that's some of the important things to remember. Another thing is you cannot control it. You cannot have coexistence. You cannot have organic farmers, conventional farmers. It only becomes GMO farmers, and remember that. That's very important. And the other issue I want to bring is that Monsanto now has gone basically from a chemical company to the world's largest seed company. They've been buying up seed companies around the world. And believe me, they've been buying up a lot of the organic seed companies on the west coast of Canada and all the way down to California, and making it very difficult for organic farmers now to obtain certain varieties of organic seeds. So that's another way they're trying to stop and control and destroy the organic farmers. So one of the reasons why Monsanto, and that has not come up today, is not to have labeling or that people know what your food is, because if you have labeling and you had some ailment or illness and you went to a doctor, the doctor could then ask you what food you are eating, and a database could be built up. And that's why the Monsanto does not want labeling or to know what's in your food. So that's one of the biggest reasons that labeling hasn't come forward, to keep people in the dark what is really the viruses, the bacteria that is in your food that was never there before. So basically, with the patents on food, patents on life, it's to control the future of our food and to control of our future generations what we eat. Everyone here today should be concerned of our future generations, because we know and we are told that once you introduce GMOs, there is no returning back. It's here, and they don't know if it ever can be taken back out of the environment. Briefly, I said it's a massive increased use of chemicals, insecticides, herbicides, pesticides. What about then our environment? Our contamination of our water, our soil, and our air is another thing you have to look at. So those are some of the most important things that I wanted to bring you here today. I don't know how long my wife and I can continue on to bring this awareness around the world. We're both 80 years of age, but we said as long as we have life in us. As long as we have life in us, we'll continue to bring this awareness. So we're really happy to be here with you, but go home and do something about it. Contact your members of government that you want to know what's in your food. What else we have done is this. We feel that when you do not know what the contents of your food contain, it's a violation of human rights. And everyone should have that right to know what's in your food. How far did we go on the issue of human rights? We took Canada, my country, to the United Nations Human Rights Commission in Geneva, and we charged Canada the violation of human rights because we do not know what's in your food. Whether you can do that in the United States, I don't know. But this is what we have done to our government in the United States. In Canada, I'm sorry. I'm sure you could do the same thing by going to the United Nations Human Rights Commission in Geneva. So these are the things we have to do if you really want to do something positive to stop the spread of GMOs. So with that, again, it's a pleasure. I could go on to many, many other issues, but I should say, after we were finished with Monsanto, and I don't know if I should use that word finished because we don't know if Monsanto will come after us again, but we had 4 lawsuits with Monsanto. First of all, they laid the patent infringement one against us. Then they laid $1 million lawsuit against us because they said we were arrogant, stubborn, and we wouldn't do what they wanted, so they wanted their legal bill all paid up to a certain point in time. And then we had another lawsuit they laid against us where they tried to seize our home. They tried to seize all our farmland. They tried to seize all our farm equipment. So that was another lawsuit. So there were 3 lawsuits we had to fight against Monsanto. They did everything to stop us. They threatened us that nobody stands up to Monsanto, and someday they're going to get us and destroy us. So these are the threats we lived under and our neighbors lived under. But in the end, we laid them off quickly a lawsuit against Monsanto on the liability issue where they had contaminated one of our other fields in research on mustard. And it ended up that we took them to court in the small claims court, and the small claim action was $640 against Monsanto. And would you believe it, the judge ruled in our favor, and Monsanto had to come to court on a $640 issue. So it was very embarrassing for a $1 billion corporation plus to come to court and be charged with a $640 bill, and Monsanto paid the bill. Now remember, it was not the issue of $640. It was the issue that if a farmer is contaminated, an avenue or precedent has been set by the court that if you contaminate, if you destroy the property of others, you should be liable for what you do, and that's what I think was the greatest victory that we ever had against a corporation. And it's not only for us, it's for people, for you here today, and for people all over the world that a precedent has been set. So with that, again, it's a great pleasure. Stand up for your rights. Stand up for the future of life. Stand up against GMOs. Thank you very much.